Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my seat for a pregnant woman on a 12-hour flight? I, 28M, recently took a 12-hour flight from NYC to Hawaii flight. I had paid months in advance for a comfort seat with extra room, which costed me about $200 extra plus points. About 15 minutes before takeoff, a visibly pregnant woman was walking up and down towards the front of the plane. Her and a flight attendant look around for a moment, talk a bit, and then the lady approached me asking if I would be willing to switch seats with her due to her condition. I politely declined. I explained that I had specifically booked this seat because I'm pretty long, I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall, and that I needed the extra comfort and space. The attendant seemed understanding and went to ask other passengers near me, but no one volunteered. I felt like I was the only one giving her any attention. The pregnant lady then told me I wouldn't understand what it feels like to be a woman carrying a baby in this summer heat, got upset, and eventually had to return to her seat in the back. Throughout the flight, I felt awkward passing by her every time on the way to the bathroom. When I landed, I couldn't help but feel guilty. I'm a young man without the burden of carrying a child in me and totally could have sacrificed a bit, and wondered if I had been wrong to prioritize my comfort over someone who might have needed it more. So, AITH for refusing to give up my seat for this pregnant woman on a long-haul flight? Edit. To clarify, sorry I left this detail out. If I agreed, they would have reimbursed me for the extra cost via voucher, so that my ticket would have been the cost of the normal economy ticket. I'm not certain if the pregnant lady would have had to pay extra to switch with me, cause I just politely declined a few times, and we didn't get into that level of detail. Not the a-hole. She had the option of purchasing a more comfortable seat. Unless Delta was willing to compensate you for the seat swap, I would not expect you to just gift her your seat. I had done seat swaps before, and United always took care of me. I pay extra for the better seats and do not want to be crunched into some cubbyhole for 12 hours. Not the a-hole. You paid for that seat, and she paid for hers. She could have booked a different class if she wanted to. Most likely she knew she would be this pregnant when she booked the flight. It is unfortunate the situation she is in, truly, but unless a medical emergency were happening, I'm not sure why you would be expected to give up your seat.
Not the a-hole. Many a pregnant women have survived economy class. If she had wanted the extra space, she also could have paid for it like you did. The other people could have also switched, but didn't. This isn't on you.
Not the a-hole. I fly all the time, and so many people try to scam seats that I have no compassion anymore. Did give up an aisle seat for a guy who broke his ankle day one of vacation, but dang. Please know this happens all the time. I often get sat in the bullhead row because of my status, and several times a woman with a baby has booked one seat and asked me to give mine up for the father/grandmother/friend helping with childcare. No. If you knew to pay for one, you knew to pay for both. Also, while I am ranting, 3 times in the past month someone has sat in my window seat because, oops, mistake. But their things are stored, can't we just trade? No one has ever accidentally taken my middle seat.
Slightly off topic, but this still bugs me, so I want to vent for a second. I was on a long-haul flight earlier this year. I had checked a bag and didn't have a carry-on since I hate fighting for space. I did have a very bulky parka, though, since it was winter. I spot some space in the overhead bin across from me, so I start shoving my parka in. Again, I didn't have a carry-on, so I wasn't taking up more space than I was entitled to. This woman looks me in the eye and matter-of-factly states, "Sorry, you can't put your things there." My husband is moving his stuff from farther back to there. I was dumbfounded and just stared at her like, WTF, of course after the fact. Figured I could have just said, "Sounds like he's all set then," and just sit down. Anyways, her husband comes with his bag and says we can share the space. I'm like, whatever, that's fine. Everything fits, so I'm cool with it. I also felt a little guilty about taking some space in the bin above their seats. When this woman gets up after we land, she proceeds to pull 4 bags out of the overhead bin, not including her husband's 1 bag. Then I was pissed all over again.
A seat ticket doesn't reserve the space above your head. I saw a woman get incredibly angry because she didn't want her bag to get touched by any other bag on the overhead. She thought she was entitled to the entire thing. Also, too many people don't realize you're meant to put your personal bag under the seat in front of you. It's one of the big reasons overhead bins reach capacity before people finish boarding.
Not the a-hole. I've got a whole vertebra slipped forward and before back surgery, where I got 6 screws and 4 rods. Trying to sit in economy was absolute torture and would have me practically in tears on a 2.5-hour flight between Denver and California. I've had 2 kids, one of which was 2 weeks overdue. So I can compare the pain between the two. The back pain was worse. Just because your problem isn't visible doesn't mean she's entitled to boot you from your seat. There were a whole lot of other passengers that could have moved. And even without the back pain, she wasn't entitled to your seat. You booked your seat and paid the extra money so you could have more room. No doubt she knew she was pregnant when she booked the flight, so if she needed the roomier seat, she should have booked one.
Not the a-hole. I hate flying in the middle seat. I have flown economy, business, and first class once. One thing I make sure of is that I either book a window seat or an aisle. What that pregnant woman banked off is that one sucker from business class would feel sorry for her to switch seats. So she wouldn't pay extra but have the perks. Don't feel bad. I'm pretty sure the other people that were asked didn't. Stop letting this woman live rent-free in your peace of mind. I have invisible disabilities, and I am horrified over scenarios like this. Someone accidentally bumping into me will cause significant health problems, so I stake out areas with personal social bubbles immediately for self-preservation, such as booking the larger seats away from foot traffic. Not in the mood to land in the ER over someone else being careless. Also, I am offended that someone's entitled wants to have kids is hung over my needs to avoid further injury and complications by culture and society expectations. The other party has the ability to control their decisions and travel choice, and they chose economy poorly, so that's a them problem.
The pregnant lady was right about one thing. You have no idea what it's like to be pregnant in that heat on an airplane. Just as she will never know what's it like to be that tall and crammed into a standard economy seat for 12 hours. She should have booked the right seat for her condition. That's not on you to solve. And Delta should offer cash, not a voucher. Not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. Look at what happened. First, she tried to use guilt to get a free upgrade to first class, which obviously failed. She worked her way down through every single passenger above economy. Everyone said no for a reason. They planned and paid for the comfort of not sitting in economy for 12 hours. You are not her friend, family, or partner. She is not entitled to expect others to inconvenience themselves to accommodate her wants, not even a need.
Absolutely not the a-hole. I've been pregnant many times and GF chose to travel pregnant. She knew what the hell she was doing acting like a damn princess. Absolutely not. Nope. 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 She's pregnant. Not dying. Being pregnant isn't a cakewalk, but it's not a free for all to act like a brat. Millions of people do it every day. Do not give it one more second of your energy. She could have paid the money if she wanted the benefit. She thought she could pull a fast one by abusing her condition. Absolutely ridiculous.
And honestly, it doesn't matter how tall you are, or what your reason was for wanting to keep your seat. You don't need to justify yourself. You paid for that seat. It's yours. Apparently this thing about people demanding other people give up their seats on flights is pretty common now. Either wanting a window or aisle seat, legroom, a particular location, wanting to sit with their spouse/friend/child. Whatever it is, some people think their failure to plan accordingly should become everyone else's problem. It's crazy.
Am I missing something? When I traveled out of the country during pregnancy, I remember being nervous about the timing of it all because both the airlines and my OBGYN strongly prohibited flights during the 3rd trimester, which I'm assuming she was near, if she was visibly uncomfortable and complaining about accommodations. She knew it was a 12-hour flight, did she not? Why didn't she just book first class in the first place? $185 is a small price to pay for the difference in comfort between first class and economy on a 12-hour flight. These people who book cheap seats thinking they'll shame someone into giving them their more expensive seat are starting to get on my nerves. It doesn't help that the airlines apparently actively encourage this kind of entitlement behavior. I mean, it was the flight attendant going around asking people to give up their seats. The airline's position needs to be you buy the seat you want, or you sit in the seat you bought. Not the a-hole. During my second trimester, I took a 6-hour flight and sat on the middle seat. It's not as bad as a 12-hour flight, but I had to get out and walk around a few times. Definitely not the most comfortable. It was the full flight, so I knew most people would never consider swapping for my crappy seat. I would never feel entitled to having someone else give up their better seat for me. If I wanted a better seat, I could have paid more for it and planned better. But I was cheap and willing to put up with the discomfort. I bet this woman was fishing/expecting a baby upgrade for free. So entitled.
I'm confused. Economy Plus is not first class. Was the entire flight full, including Economy Plus, Business, and First Class? Anyhow, in TA, you're not obligated to give up your seat any more than anyone in First Class was obligated to give up their seat for her. If you feel guilty, that guilt should be shared by everyone else in Economy Plus, Business Class, and First Class. Honestly, this debate about plane seats comes up so often, especially as it relates to families with children who don't bother planning to sit together, and then feel entitled to demand that everybody else on the plane adjust for their carelessness. It's ridiculous.
Stop the guilt trip. Her lack of planning does not mean you should bear the guilt. Did you knock her up? No. And, more pointedly, the airline had to accept a medical clearance that had to be accepted by their legal debt from her doctor for her to fly that late in her pregnancy, especially for that distance. Pregnant women are discouraged from flying during late-stage pregnancy because the pressure on the lungs, arteries, intestines, and even the uterus is too great and the risk is too high. When do pregnant women get on long flights like that? When they have friends working for the airline or at the airport that help them obtain a ticket the airline has not approved so that they can give birth in the USA or associated locations such as Puerto Rico, Samoa, Mariana Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, etc. Do not, I repeat, do not feel guilty. She did not belong there to begin with. That's the absolute truth of it.
Her condition. LOL. What? Unless she was in labor. Not the a-hole. I hate when people refer to pregnancy as a condition. Sure, it sucks, but you don't deserve special treatment just because you're pregnant. I've been pregnant twice. Got pregnant 4 months after I had my first. So I truly understand being pregnant can fucking suck. But I absolutely never expected anyone to go out of their way to give special treatment. Honestly, I fucking hated it when people try to give me special treatment. Like, I'm pregnant, not disabled. So no, not the a-hole. She's the a-hole for trying to guilt others into giving her a more expensive seat. Not the a-hole. It's not like she was surprised with the pregnancy. She didn't wake up the morning of the flight and realize that she was pregnant. She knew when she booked the flight that she was pregnant. Every other person in your section was offered the same deal and declined. This doesn't fall on your shoulders. This is the fault of the airlines, trying to cram every single square inch of the plane with people/baggage and cargo. They could make all the seats more spacious, more comfortable, charge more to everyone and eliminate these situations. They have chosen more profit and less of an enjoyable experience for their customers. They could make flights more comfortable, but choose to see how far they can push the consumer. They are the a-holes in this situation. Her only condition is entitlement. She got pregnant. She decided to keep the baby. She decided not to shell out the extra dough for the seat she wanted. She's not entitled to your seat for any reason. Good on you for not allowing yourself to be manipulated. You deserve to enjoy your vacation and have a comfortable flight too, especially given the fact you planned ahead and paid a good bit extra. Hard not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. As a pregnant woman who was recently on a 10.5-hour flight, had I needed a special seat, I would have booked one. In fact, I did. An aisle seat relatively close to the bathroom because more important to me than room was being sure I didn't wet myself because baby wanted to do spin classes on my bladder for 90% of the flight. Was it comfortable? No. But it was what it was. Just because I'm growing another living being that I chose to grow does not mean my discomfort and pain is more important than someone else's. And you thought ahead, rather than assume someone would give you special treatment.